What up? What up? Zach Bradshaw, along with a guy, back with another staring at price charts in my beater video. So this one's going to be a little bit different. I don't know. This thing may go on for 2 or 3 hours, maybe like an hour and a half. I'm not sure, but um, this one will be titled. The post that will go with it will be titled FOMO, and I might even start to um, change the way that I've been naming these videos instead of just trading journal number whatever. Actually put whatever clickbait bullcrap in the title. Might get this stuff some views. I don't know that anybody should be watching these videos. It's not financial advice. I'm really still learning this stuff. Um, I feel that I take to it easily and I'm pretty good at it. And I'm good at the whole like box picture for it. So I would recommend if you want to understand some of the reason that will explain some of the things in this video, why I'm doing what I'm doing. You should probably watch like my playing markets video or maybe my they're destroying our money video or like I think it's called you need to learn to trade or something like that. Um, just so that you understand the full context. So in this case, I do not believe in the vast majority of altcoins, but I see the opportunity and I'm not opposed to getting in on them. I have probably a different perspective than most people would have, especially when they first come in and don't really do the questioning or the skeptical side of the research and kind of buy into the hype. They very easily believe that these things are like world-changing solutions, and depending on their pitch, people will trust in them too much. And I, on the other hand, kind of really just understand that prices are not based on fundamentals so much as they're based on fundamentals are important, but so much as they're based on people's perception. It's what people think about something, not how good the technology actually is. It's how good people think that it is that will determine how much those people are willing to pay for it. So in this case, one of my rules for trying to find altcoins that work is like, what's their marketing look like? So there's a lot of things, and I've just noticed it in crypto when some of these new projects come out with a new website and it looks really good, they tend to get a disproportionate amount of hype that's not it doesn't always relate to their actual technology or their progress on their project or what other factors you can pull out and say these are fundamental things in altcoins. Well, on the flip side, I also understand how to uh, chart the prices. Now, I think it's harder to trade altcoins because it's a lot easier for the whales to like stop hunt or do BART charts or all types of whale games that they can play. But I should be able to fairly easily like find some of these 2 and 3x and 10x gainers just by doing the research in the way that I've already done it before, and just update it with some of the new coins, kind of probably get some of my team involved to speed up some of the process and do a lot of coins because I think there's probably going to be like a altcoin season or whatever. There's going to be opportunity for this for maybe it peters out once Bitcoin goes up to like 70,000 or something like that, and we take a little break on it, maybe like a 6 month break before we start going up again. But I actually think we're just kind of going to keep going up in a semi-straight line up to like 100,000 or 200,000 before we see a real pullback, and I think that's going to happen over the course of the rest of this year and in 2022. So I'm expecting that this altcoin season or whatever is going to last for about 2 more years. And I will be curious and probably even get back to the level where I was before, where I was looking at the coins before they came out when they were being announced and things like that to get into the early opportunities. And now that it's not a massive bear market, many of those may debut and go up instead of debuting and just crashing down like they were doing when I was finding some of these projects that, now today some of these have great staying power and they're on the top of the chart. So first, in this video though, I do just want to update my charts and update my like where my trades are from last night. So I'm basically at the same levels where I sold out my Bitcoin. Still holding on to this Ethereum. I'm probably going to look at setting in a stop loss here. I've realized in relooking at these charts, I was kind of playing these really just like dumb logic to the way that I was thinking about it. So, um, in terms of Bitcoin's price, I sold out crossing this line and then on the tap of this diagonal, right? And then it's come back down. I missed buys in here. I was really looking for it to play out a little bit longer and give me more time to get in there, but it went ahead and bounced up back to this line and see it's above it, and we'll figure out whether we close above or below it um, later on. And actually, let me just put this back to a 12 hour where this is actually drawn on. I mean, you can see that it's holding down the close, but it has now wicked up above it. I'll probably become a buyer again at a retest. I probably need to re-look at some of these levels just to set them to exactly where they would be now. I might put this one right here, for example. But and probably change up some of my thicknesses. But I will also become a buyer probably above this line again. So it probably makes sense to thicken up some of these lines. Just don't want to run out of brain power endurance for the looking at new charts. Kind of cool with all of these lines getting deleted out, and let me just bump these back a little bit because they're much less important while we're far away from them. And then these, I'm going to keep them at their same thickness because actually I think these lines are more important than any of these other ones. If we turn around and start to come back down, like some of these I might even delete out as we come back down, just depending on if we're coming back down later this week or next week or in 6 months from now. So to be fair, if we're coming down 6 months from now, I don't know if we'll come back down to this area, but this is not Miss Cleo time. This is drawn levels and finding inflection points in the market. So I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to move this one up a little bit, and don't want to, does this make sense for a level here too? Yeah, this kind of does make sense as a little, two of those to be right there. I think I just deleted one of those, but it doesn't look important enough right now. I don't think it will hold up anything. Well, maybe it would. Let's look at the 4 hours, see what this was. Yeah, I guess maybe here, though, it wouldn't be the tip that I would say. So I will throw in a new horizontal right here. And I'll make that one super thin because I don't know if it will hold anything up, but it very well may. And then that, and maybe, right, it should be a double zone or whatever, or it should be a zone instead of just a line by putting one right here, but whatever. Now this line, I feel like, what is truly the big pivot here? Okay, so this one is definitely the big pivot. And then this one. Okay, let's go back down to the 12 hour. And okay. I think these lines are just going to get blown through and I'm going to delete them out. But you see they are kind of playing. This one bounced off of that one. This wick so far has bounced off of that one, but this is a 12-hour candle I'm looking at, and we got 10 more hours in this 12-hour candle. So I'm now that Bitcoin is closing up here, I'm pretty much expecting us to break out. I mean, the 12 hour started to cross back down and then rejected that, which makes me think that this is going to go ahead and break across these all-time highs, maybe even on this candle. I'm not going to be trading based on that opinion that I just said right there, right? So yeah, there's probably a 55 or 60% chance that that's what happens. And to be fair, I'm probably wrong. It's probably more like a 10% chance that that happens. But I still want to put that hypothesis in the air based on this fake out turn down. I mean, I feel like we're going to close above this line, or at least close up in this zone. But I'm not like I'm still don't have any Bitcoin right now in this account. Certainly still have my hodl positions. If I didn't have Bitcoin on the side, then I might be FOMOing in here, at least with a very small amount, 25 bucks, 50 bucks, depending on how much free capital I had or whatever. But right now, this looks like good for me, the way that I trade and how I need this one set up. Then over here to Ethereum. So I played off this diagonal on Bitcoin, which is not as high as this diagonal. Like I could extend this one and, extend this one as well, which is the same slope or the same angle, but just off of this high back here. So Ethereum has been playing differently off of its lines. But for some reason, I held onto my Ethereum position thinking that it was going to break through this instead of buying, which is interesting, especially considering that Ethereum boneheaded in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, say about 9 candles did 30%. Bitcoin, I guess it was about the same amount of candles. Right, and those are 12-hour candles, so about 4 days or whatever, 4 or 5 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't think I really counted from the same place, so maybe something more like this. But in 9 days did like 20%, and this is like healthier to me for it to continue without having a pullback. It's still drastic, and I would appreciate a pullback down here so I could buy me 50,000 Bitcoin again. But we may not ever be able to get $50,000 Bitcoin again. So um, this one on Bitcoin is steeper or is not as steep. So I wouldn't expect this to be as an important a sell level as something that is running up like this, where it did give you a better percentage pullback, I would imagine, on this single candle here. Yeah, 6% down. I think Bitcoin did like 3%. What was it? This candle right here might have been more than that. Yeah, so about 4.5% on Bitcoin's little pullback based on this originally coming up to touch this horizontal. And so it would have made more sense to get out of Ethereum even than getting out of Bitcoin. And it's interesting that it's like I felt like Bitcoin would pull back off of that level, but Ethereum would continue through. Like this horizontal and like basically the same level. It's different shaped chart, but basically the same level on Bitcoin, that it's trying to basically have closes above, and it had the close and open thing and then fell back down. So with Ethereum, I'd probably rebuy this line, and I'd probably buy a breakout above, maybe even this line if we have a 12-hour close or a daily close here, or above. I would expect Ethereum to continue on. Now, if Bitcoin does actually get rejected off of this, I would think that Ethereum pulls back with a better percentage than Bitcoin, maybe down to a lower line more quickly, and probably has a stronger bounce as well. So I will need to figure out something to do with stops on this. I'm going to just basically be watching this all day. I'm obviously going to be working in the charts like for the next couple hours as I go through these other altcoins, but let me actually set in some alerts since it looks like all of my alerts on Ethereum got hit or something. Just so I can be reminded to look at price based on it breaking through these different levels. And if it starts to go down, I want my phone and Coinigy to be screaming at me about it. So a couple of alerts down here, basically at the same level, and then some alerts, or one alert on this line, and then one alert above this close here. And maybe if more time passes, I might put alerts based on this diagonal line. But for now, this Ethereum chart looks about, what am I talking about? I clearly didn't even edit this chart yet. Lovely. And maybe I could even make this a zone. Actually, I will 100% make that a zone. And so I'll actually dial them back. Put me in a little zoney zone there. Maybe I could fill that in with a color if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna. Um, Man, that level still could play. So we get slot. This one could be like a little zone here. Whoa. Okay, so got my little levels in this thing. Uh, eh, sure, sure, something like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and save this one. And now, interestingly, I missed this. So I did a decent job of playing Ethereum through this run, and then it rejected off of this 144, and then it went all the way back down to this side of this range. Now I'm curious to see whether it's going to base up here. It might catch support here, or it might catch support somewhere in here, or maybe it may go all the way down here and gets further crushed, or this may just be a little uh, not blooper, a little blip, no, a little something, a little fake out below this line, and then it closes above here. I'll be very curious to see how this plays out on the 12-hour chart, and I'll probably start looking at other time frames for this one because this is a little bit funkier than the other stuff, than these charts versus USD. Crap. Oh, I did not properly choose my line, and let's say right there with the super thin line. I don't know that this one will hold, but it may, and so I really should have just put like an alert here. I didn't really need that line, but we shall see how that plays out, and it could end up that these two end up reversing their thicknesses, um, depending on how this plays. Now, on the upside, just like anything above that, I want to know about. Um, and if it does break this line, I want to know about it. Okay. So the reason I'm needing to set these up on Ethereum especially is because that's the one that I have my money in right now, along with a teeny tiny bit of this balancer that I'm going to, this is one of them that I'm going to go ahead and chart today. And it's originally I bought like 50 bucks. It went down to where this was like 38 or 34 or something like that. And now it's back up, and the amount I have is very close to the price, so it's pretty easy for me to look at. But I may want to increase my position size, or go ahead and sell out based on what I see. So, sorry. There we go. Okay, so back in the day, I went through a bunch of coins. I used to watch a whole bunch of crypto people's videos about these different coins, and would look at their different white papers and their actual social media, and even look at their GitHub and things like that to see, who was committing the code and stuff like that. But some of the ones that were like some of my favorite ones in terms of their fundamentals of their price were like Binance, Cardano. Um, this one's pretty new. This one's pretty new. I'll be interested to look at these. Chainlink was one of my favorite ones. Stellar was one of my favorite ones. Um, some of these other ones, to be fair, that are still up here are, I thought they were crap. So I guess they're doing a pretty good job of hanging on. I know that I used to buy / trade this one, and maybe it's mapped out over here. I'm not sure. And then some of these other ones very well may have changed name to what they are now. I'm surprised to see EOS as low as it is. That's one that I used to think it was going up based on basically the way that the hype was. Binance USD. Okay, it looks like they have another. Stablecoin. Um, Neo all the way down here now. That's interesting. That's one I used to like to buy a lot. Um, Sushi Swap. So yeah, a lot of these names are not that familiar to me anymore. So this will be fun uh, to start to go through this again. So originally the way that I was going through these, and I've some of these that are done in this are like I was definitely buying um, like Cardano, Qtum, Neo, EOS, Stellar, IOTA, NIM. I was certainly buying some of these, and they haven't had their documentation in the way that I was doing them. But let's just look at the way that I was doing it. So I have these info boxes over here. If you ever watch like one of my marketing videos, you see I use Monday.com for everything. And this is like no exception. I have multiple dashboards for crypto actually. But so basically the way that I was laying these out would be to have their different topical or different areas of like what I thought was important on any given project, and then laying some of those things out. So it looks like these are like out of order. So top links was usually the first one. And so you'd have the website, coin market cap, the white paper for the actual project, the GitHub, the Medium, and different things that matter for that coin. And it's really, if we go look at one of these, you'll see that my list was long. Well, let's look at one that just has the list in it. Right, so these would be all the ones that I would look for and see whether they have them, and then if they did, then I would add them as a link in here. Then we had files list. Looks like I just accidentally created that one. Then I would look at the people to see, the executive team, similar to what you would do with stocks, to see, fundamental investing on stocks is like I believe in their leadership team. They got a dope CEO. They got the best developers in this case, and kind of map some of those people out. And eventually, I don't think I did this one very well, but yeah, eventually would even go and grab like the developers' LinkedIn profiles or potentially their GitHub, whatever else, so that we can see what's up with the people. Then the main thing that was actually, so let's look at one that I've actually done. So basics complete. Let's see what ARC was talking about with its stuff. So you see, okay, so here's the full list, I believe. Maybe the other one just had it better organized. But this is really what I was doing here, was going through and finding what each coin's unique value proposition is, what they're saying that they do, their different taglines, the problem that they're being solved, the project type, the coin type, the proof model, whether it's proof of stake, proof of work, proof of authority, proof of whatever, industry that they were like catering to, project start date based out of, etc. So that one said basics complete, and that didn't look like I really had the basics complete. I don't think I really have any of them with the basics that well completed. But okay, so wait. What's the order on these? Oh, so video's done probably means that they're more done than the other ones. Okay, so that one has a bunch of links. Probably doesn't have people. Okay, so here's an example of it's pretty well done. Let's go ahead and bold it up. But so nulls, for example, one of its unique value proposition is like why customers should choose you for whatever your thing is. So for them, one of the things that they were obviously advertising was modularity, meaning it was customizable and a plugin style blockchain creation, ease of development, and language agnostic, meaning you could use any coding language. That's one of the issues with some of these cryptos, is that you have to learn some crappy coding language that they made up, that may even be faulty or have security vulnerabilities, instead of things like JavaScript and C++ that are really common programming and coding languages. So WordPress of blockchain, this is a pretty darn good unique value proposition if blockchain even mattered, right? So like I don't believe in the fundamentals of these things now based on the things I've learned since then. I think blockchain is more of a buzzword than an actual important, like really important technology. Satoshi, for example, I think he only mentioned it once in like a comment reply in a forum, not even it's not in the white paper or anything like that. And it's people are trying to use it for a lot of things that it's better just to have a database that you can edit. The thing about a blockchain is that you cannot, and you can probably create something that you could still call a blockchain that's editable. But the thing about Bitcoin is that it's an immutable ledger. Once the tallies have been made, unless it gets 51% attack, blah 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 blah. But the concept is that once the transactions have been completed, that you cannot go back and erase them or edit them or anything like that. Well, for like most technology that we use on a day-to-day basis, we want the ability to go in there and edit mistakes that may have been made. Usually that have to do with like human error on the input side. Um, One of the disadvantages or kind of like, is this how it should be? Kind of aspects of Bitcoin is that if somebody steals a whole bunch of money, you can't just send it back to the other person. And in other cryptocurrencies, they've done that, and that's a security risk for the concept of a blockchain. Maybe some of those don't actually need a blockchain; they're just using it as a buzzword. Blah blah blah. So the WordPress of anything, smart way to go, smart way to think about your software company that you're trying to create. But I would no longer necessarily believe in this as a unique value proposition in the way that I did before. I would believe in its marketability though, right? Which is different. I'm trying to find coins that I think are going to go up, not necessarily coins that I believe in their project. Now, there may be some overlap in there, like Cardano sounded like it was doing some good things. I still don't understand why most of these are needed, and lots of times why they needed a coin is like you could have done that without having a coin. It seems like you just wanted to print your own money, and some of that just to I do have the tab up here. So lots of this comes from Tone Vase, and other people that I've learned about from Tone, and maybe watched a little bit of theirs, but I end up coming back to him because I feel like he's more knowledgeable and he brings more people together on this. So Tone has a couple of different playlists, and the Crypto Scam podcast. It goes through specific projects and basically explains to you why they are a scam. So these are his opinions, but it's all types of things here, like Ripple, like Dash, like Litecoin, and here's even one for Bitcoin. Crypto hedge funds as a scam by themselves, smart contracts as a concept. It's like if they were important, we could just put them on Bitcoin. We don't really even need that. What are y'all talking about? You can watch these yourself. And actually, I've only really watched this one, I think all the way through. And then, well, it looks like, yeah, I watched that one too. Okay, so I've really only watched two of these, but I've heard him talk about many of these, and I've watched more of his debates. Let's see if it's going to show any of them that I've watched. So usually I haven't watched his debates from his channel. I usually watch them from like the original source. Man, he has some really long debates in here that I wonder how old these are.
You got a lot of attention.
Okay, so that was not even that long ago. Those are interesting. I've watched him debate Roger Ver several times, and I'm sure that I watched this one. I watched this one. I watched Tone and Jimmy Song debate Roger Ver here, and maybe even it was Tone twice. I forget, but um, seeing him argue these things is like listening to Tone is like sometimes he just like sounds negative, and it can like wear you out to listen to him. Just this is at least for me, and I kind of notice it from some of the comments and things like that he has on his streams. But he's very knowledgeable. I think he's masters of financial engineering, and I think he has another master's or two, and former vice president of JP Morgan Chase. And he's obviously opinionated, but he comes from the regular financial world and has basically turned himself into a Bitcoin evangelist based on his belief in sound money. And he also has lawyers. In these, I've watched a lot of these. Yeah, they're definitely not all in the playlist because I've watched at least 10 or 20 of these, where he has the actual lawyers that deal with some of these different suits come on his show, and some of these are like some of the biggest crypto lawyers in the world, and they come on and they'll debate a little bit about some of these different issues. Some of them have their different expertises across the spectrum of crypto legal issues. Um, but a lot of my opinion about these coins being crap is biased from listening to Tone Vays. Now, it used to be biased based on listening to Data Dash and Crypto Lark and these other fools that are kind of just hype men for this stuff. And so a lot of listening to Tone has helped me balance some of that out. But he's also, I mean, I've learned a lot just about the real financial world, like what the banks are doing and stuff like that, based on you know following Tone Vays. So what I'm gonna do, and why I'm making this long video, and I think that it makes sense for me to share this like probably on my Facebook as well, is because I'm going to find lots of these coins that are going to hit, and I'm going to be able to come up with price targets and things like that for well done trades that I think most people could follow. Now, again, you should not just follow my crappy trades without understanding how to get in and out, how to manage your money, things like that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not even that good of a trader. I think crypto is easy, and I am a really, really good researcher, which is why I'm going to do well with this. And then I can just read the price charts and say, okay, well, it could do this, it could do that. Make your plans accordingly, right? So I'm not. I'll probably show some of my altcoin trades, but it'll be like how it usually is with my Bitcoin trades, because I'm not going to turn on the video so I can make the trade to say, oh, this is what I'm about to do right now. I'm just going to play it and then, you know, go over it after the fact. But hopefully should be able to lay out price levels on lots of these and create good buys. I'll probably, like, I'm not going to split my money up into a bunch of little chunks. That's one of the reasons that I didn't do as well in the bear market when I was trying to trade these. Obviously, the bear market, when everything's generally going down, it's harder to make money unless you can short or use options anyway. And but in addition to that, I was splitting my attention between too many coins at a time. I'm still going to split my attention, but I'm not going to split my money, so I don't have to make decisions like all day long trading these coins. And at that point, I mean, the amount of money I had in was less as well, so it was less worth my time to do so. Now I'm going to jump in and out with, maybe I might split it up into 4 pieces at the very most, maybe 5 or something like that. But I'm probably going to keep it to 1 or 2 and look at and only have my money in on the trades that I'm most confident in, and really let them come to me, and wait for the level to hit, buy then, and then get out when it hits my target level, or maybe do rising stops, just depending. But rising stops tend to frustrate me in crypto because there's so many stop hunting, so much stop hunting price action, where it's like this bullcrap double low and fake reversals and stuff like that. So now that I have gone through what my crypto research is going to look like, and I'm definitely going to bring my team into getting these people and things like that. And then I also have a lot of these videos, for example, here, and we might start downloading these because some people remove their videos after a while or whatever. But I'll probably also have someone come and, wow, Lark's hair, amazing. So I haven't looked at these guys' channels in a long time because I really don't care to hear the hype on these different things until now. I'm about to get back into these. But for example, we'll probably have like a bullet list breakdown like we do for like Brian Johnson videos. Like this one, for example, is Deep Work, where he goes over 5 different ideas. And then we've broken this down with timestamps, right? If you click on these links, it'll open the video to this time. And then these are some of the different like rules or whatever under these things. These are his different little points under those. And we'll probably do something similar for the videos, or I'll have someone do something similar, and I'll probably throw them on a website because I do own a couple of different, like I own truthinblockchain.com and a couple other ones like that. They don't have websites on them yet, but we'll probably create some sort of template page to display all of the same information that we have right here, right? So lots of these links and these different things, and then eventually, depending on how much of this gets done and produced, especially to be in a public version, we might start getting a lot of a lot of search traffic from it, and then shoot, I might start doing interviews of some of these different crypto dudes and kind of just a little bit kind of like Tone Vays, like, oh, that sounds like some bull crap, just to see, because I'm no expert developer. I have bought programming Bitcoin for my assistant, and he's working on that stuff now. So some of by working on that stuff, I mean he's learning how to code Bitcoin. Some of I'll probably end up reading that book once he's done with it or whatever, but um, I will use him to comment on to help me understand some of these technical things and what really matters across these different things. And I'll probably also buy a course, Ivan on Tech's course on coding for different types of crypto, Ethereum and whatever else, and then probably also buy on Andreas Antonopoulos's books. I think I said his name right, on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then probably also buy the Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean, and a couple of others. Just books that I want to read about some of these different things. I'll try to let go of some of my prejudice and do some deeper research into some of the fundamentals of some of these altcoins. But the main thing is finding which ones are going to pop based on like the problem that they're trying to solve, their taglines, unique value propositions, how good they will sound to people, and how well they execute their marketing and things like that. And some of that does have to do with the people that are in their company, their actual company structure, how their token works, and stuff like that. Um, Especially on a longer term scale. But with a lot of these, I'm just looking for that 30% in a day move that I've been seeing like every day for the last week, as Bitcoin has been playing out this little range. And right, I think Bitcoin may in the next couple of days, or maybe it'll be 2 weeks, is going to go ahead and break to new all-time highs again. And some of those coins won't quite keep up with Bitcoin in terms of versus US dollar value and the percentage gain. However, once Bitcoin reaches its next top and wants to play out a range again, some of those coins are going to pop. And also, Bitcoin may stay below 58,000 for the next 2 weeks, and those coins are going to continue to pop. Once Bitcoin picks up, generally Bitcoin moves faster than that. So it's right. That's my whole concept of playing market is being able to playing markets is being able to get in and get out appropriately, because it doesn't really matter how much like money you have when your money itself doesn't have a static value because they print it and all types of different things. And so what really matters is like where you rank in the poker table scores or whatever, or how much of the total chips in the market you have. If eventually it will be better laid out, but if you go look at playingmarkets.com, you can see some of the way that I try to like make that analogy so you can understand why I'm basically putting in bets. And some of this trading I'm doing may turn into long-term positions on some of these coins if I start to believe in them or start to think, okay, this makes sense. And it may be that I end up making like an ETF style kind of basket of cryptos for the long term, based on this research that I do. But for the most part, what I'm doing is I'm trading things that I don't believe in, right? I do not believe in them. I believe in the general crypto bull market, and I don't believe that it's good or believe that it's destined to happen, or I do. I just think it's going to happen, and I'm going to adjust accordingly. I don't care to comment on whether it should or not, or whether it's good for Bitcoin or good for crypto or good for our economy and things like that, across the world. But now, 45 minutes into this thing, I'm going to go ahead and start to map some of these other coins. So, I didn't even see Eon at the top, so I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to start with Cardano. Um, can I buy Cardano over here? Let's just make sure I can buy Cardano over here. So that makes sense to even look at this. I can't buy Cardano with dollars. Can I buy Cardano with Bitcoin? See, now that's very interesting. Why isn't Cardano listed on Coinbase? 100% decentralization. Okay, let me not get propagandized by their stupid infographics. So I'm not sure why Cardano's not on Coinbase. I have a bunch of coins on Binance that are like smaller pieces of things that I just haven't cared to move off. And so I am still going to go ahead and map Cardano because I have some of it stashed and I want to know what the price is doing and maybe it will be worth going over to Binance US. So um, let's just jump over. Well, where do I want to look? Oh, we'll just default to Binance, even though somewhere else probably has longer history. Let's look at the weekly and make sure we're getting a nice chunk of it. All right, so that's 2018 drop. Let's see its all-time price action over here. See if I got it about right. Okay, so January. Nice. I wonder I got screwed. I bought right when the project opened. Okay, so yep, looks like we're good. This has all of the price action history, or just about. So where will our next major levels come in? I mean, geez. Let's go ahead and thicken that one up. Let's go ahead and, I don't know if that's even a level. It will certainly play though, won't it? Okay, I'm looking at a weekly scale and I'm drawing these lines. Let's not do all that right now. Man, but we kind of need to, don't we? Kind of need to, because they move so quickly. Let's do that one right there. Since I don't think that one is important, but we'll leave them at the same thickness for now. Then what we got right here, yeah, and here's a little zone. You know what we got, like something like this, huh? Sure do. Let's get rid of this volume so I can freaking see. Yep, and then I like one last level right here. Looks like it played right here. Closed above here. It's playing off of it. And then let's just do one more. Too many levels. And that's fine for now. Eventually I can come in here and as I look at this for a while, I can come back to it and reevaluate some of these lines. Now, I will say that this thing could come all the way, like crash all the way back down. It didn't build up much support as it went through here, at least on a weekly chart. Let me look at the 12-hour, see how these different things played out. Okay, I'm seeing more levels, like for example, the level we're at right now, that may get some play. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in a little line right down. And we can make this one, I mean, it's not totally unimportant, and I would actually make that one less important now. I mean, all of these, Any of these could really provide support though, couldn't they? And even right here, it's really difficult for me to draw these levels in right now. This one looks like it makes the most sense for that area. Um, this one, maybe move it up just a little bit and thin it out. It's about the same as this one. I'm not sure whether either one of these will hold. But coming back down here, I'd probably be a buyer. And potentially breaking above this, because right, that one goes all the way back there, or is it the higher one? Yeah, that one goes all the way back. Huh, yeah, this one I'm not sure that this one's going to hold anything up. So I'll make this one thin as well. So I've got all these levels that I'm very unsure about in here. And then two that I feel a little bit better about here. There could be some levels in here if I want to drop down to a 4 hour or something like that. But guess what? I don't. Now I am noticing that this Stokes looks like it might want to turn back up. I'm curious to see how this 12-hour turn ups have been looking. I mean, the last ones have all looked pretty good. Well, there was some fake out action in here. Um, when this turned up here, from there to there, that was a good run. From there to there, that was a good run. If you can't tell what I'm doing is I'm looking at like where this Stokes changes directions, and then looking at what it did on the price action. You can see when this turns up here, right? From if you bought right here when this turned up, right, you have a nice move on the actual price action chart. If you bought right here when this turned up, you have a nice move on the price action chart. If you bought right here when it turned up, you have a really, really nice move on the price action chart. And obviously there's some fake outs for the reversals down, but you potentially could have stayed into this one all the way up into this area. And then this one, right, we have another one. If we just look at the percentage moves on some of those, let's say, see, this one would have been a fake out. It turned up and you got a small move, but it really came back lower first, and so that probably would have gotten you out if you knew anything. 90% move on that one. 90%, geez. On this one, 36% move in like 4 days. From this one, 120% move in about a week or so. From this one, another 90% move. So when this turns back up again, I would like to be a buyer. And so maybe this is telling me go ahead and get my Binance account right now, or get my Binance US account right now, so I can go ahead and maybe buy a little bit of Cardano. Although, right, I don't necessarily just want to buy in the middle of these ranges. I'd want to buy probably with some closes. Let me zoom in on this chart a little bit more. Probably buy, like, I need it to keep closing above here. Probably this line becomes the all important part for what needs to be held up here, but I just just think it looks a little bit better like that. But if this holds up and this fully confirms a 12-hour cross, see, it looks like it could have been a fake out cross, right? So now it looks like it might turn back down. I'm gonna go lower. Once it officially does a cross that I can confirm, maybe even, right, I might have to let 2 candles pass after it's crossed to make sure that it's confirmed that it's actually going to start to go up now, and then go ahead and buy in and let it play out to what it's going to play out. And from what I just looked at in those last 4 or 5 moves, right, one of them was a fake out. Probably could have got out with a 5% loss or something like that. And then the other 4 were like a 36% was the least and 120 was the most, in terms of the move. And 3 of them were 90 or above. So I think that's what I just saw, but you can rewind it and tell me I got it wrong if that is the case. Now, this one, I'm going to go ahead and save this chart as, what is this, ADA? It's not really any patterns on this. I should really just say levels, but with that said, do I see any patterns that I might want to? Look like it did itself a little mini hyperwave there. I could probably find me some horizontal or some diagonal levels that might play, but I'm just not going to. It's just gonna confuse my efforts right now to do that. So I have my ADA saved. Now let's go look at probably something like Link based on what is on Coin Market Cap right now. So I just looked at Cardano. I have no idea what Polkadot is or Uniswap. So I'll wait on those. Let me go look at Chainlink because I know what that one is and what it does, and should have just bought and hodled all of that. I think I sold most of mine out, which is unfortunate because I knew as soon as I saw that they owned smartcontracts.org or whatever, that coin was going to do well because of marketing. But now let's go and look at Chainlink, which I'm sure was on Binance first. Now, from these different exchanges, if you're new to this, the price levels may be slightly different on another chart because the different exchanges end up at different levels. So yeah, now I'm going to look at BNB next after that. Jeez. Jeez. Holy crap. Did I go past it? What am I looking for now? Chainlink. Oh, you could just use the search function. A-hole. Okay. USDT, link TUSD. Okay, so these are all fake US dollars. So which one of these has the most price action history is what matters the most. Let's just look at them monthly. All right, this one's back to January of 2019. January 2019. January 2019. Okay, which one of these actually has some volume? None of them. Okay, that one. Okay, this one, I guess I'll just go with this one. I mean, they all look like crappy exchanges, but man, Chainlink has been just doing great. Okay, so let's see. It's never actually had a dump. Wow, this is an amazing chart. Okay, so let's get some levels set. Let's go to my 12-hour that I know and love and lay me out some levels, some levies. Yep, I'm liking that one. Obviously, I could like make little levels based on all these little highs and lows in here. I'm not gonna do that right now. Maybe I'll just move this one up just a bit. It probably needs to be a zone in there, but man, this thing has so many long wicks that could mess up your trading. It's not even funny. It does look like it bases off of there pretty well. Now this is an obvious level down here, but this one is. Oh, what to do? What to do? Yeah, I'll need to watch this one for a while to really feel comfortable getting in and out on it. But I would certainly buy this breakout up here. So based on that, I might even go ahead and do this. Might even go ahead and do that and get me an alert if we approach that thing a thing. So looks like Ethereum came back up to this level to test it. It's not that big of a deal. Where'd my chart go? Okay, so and I could say this one's a low level right here too. Let's look at the 4-hour real quick though, just before I write that in. Yeah, I like that. Let's go back to the 12. Throw this one in and probably take it down to 2. Looks good. Yeah, and there's so many little sub levels in here that I could draw in. Like right now, this one may come down to something like this as a new reversal point, but none of these are. Do I have that much confidence in, especially just because I haven't watched the way this one plays, how vicious these fake outs are or whatever. It just looks insane to me, but there's massive percentages going on here. So, right, you could, if you caught this move, let's just say to here, right, that's 73% move. And then you caught the downside of it, right, you're able to get out. That's a 25% discount that you are now able to rebuy for a 45% bounce, right? And then you can sell out here if you could figure out that that was a place to sell. Comes back down for another 16% where you could buy again and then play from this spike down here. You could hold if you wanted through this, right? If you wanted, right? If you're able to hold through this nasty downside move, that's probably 10%, then potentially hold all the way up here to the 60% move and higher, though like this wick certainly would have gotten me out of any buys that I had along this, right? Somewhere in here, probably breaking this line or something, probably breaking this zone that would have been established because, right, I wouldn't necessarily have that whole line in here at this point. If we were looking at this trade, right, I would be somewhere in here, right? If we were looking at this one and then we broke above that, then I'm like in this candle and the candle above that, if it starts to break down, I'm looking at these closes right here as the next buying opportunity or a breakdown to go for an extended pullback. And then maybe I'd use this level as a secondary level here, and maybe I'd draw a little zone in that space. Now, when this candle happened, either this line or this line would have had me selling. I don't know that I would have found anything right here to buy. Maybe if that spike happened in this, 12-hour period and I was able to buy this line, I might buy, or I was able to buy this line, I might buy, but it didn't make it all the way to it. And then it continued to go up, right? So this is whale games. Somebody sold a lot to force this down and then bought it back and reversed the market, to basically collect people's stop losses, and they did a good job at what they were trying to do. Then the market continued up for a final higher high, and then it's been doing what it's doing now. And right, maybe these candles, very similar action happened on Bitcoin, probably would have sold me out, broken like this candle got me out, for more downside, and maybe I would have been able to buy this line, seeing as these moving averages provided support before, right? And now they're a little bit more splayed out, but the 200, I think that is 200 exponential, yeah, that it bounced off of, or got close to. It looks like it front runs a lot of these things, and so these levels aren't super tight. A lot of this happens when there's not as many people trading these. So if you have $10 million, you can move this market a lot more than Bitcoin, for example. So that's it for Chainlink. Let me go ahead and right. I mean, there's so many more levels I could draw in here. I'm definitely going to draw this one because it's got too many wicks coming down to it on a 12-hour chart. And I could put in this level. I'll go ahead and put in this level, just so that I feel a little bit more comfortable, because these things are happening very quickly where it's breaking through these levels that could all play, but it's just hard to tell where they're going to. And so having these levels will help me observe this chart better over time, and be able to pick some levels out. And you know what, just for the sake of it, go ahead and put this level on here too, because if we look into this zone right here, it really does look like it got some play, right? I mean, we had wicks below it, but no closes below it. And then once we did close below it, we were in for more downside. So makes sense to go ahead and keep that level and kind of have the sub level. This one is looking less important to me now than that one, but I will keep them both and just take them in different directions of thickness. And also do the same thing for these. Boom. Okay, so now I will save this chart as link chart patterns. All these should just say levels because they're not really patterns, but I may draw some patterns on them. So it makes sense to name it however I feel like naming it, actually. How about that? Seeing this formation right here is interesting. It's reminding me that Bitcoin has a potential cup and handle that may be um, coming up shortly, unless it just continues to break to these new all-time highs. And maybe, just maybe, I need to go jump over to my Bitcoin chart and take a look. Let's actually just do it like this. Load link. I just spelled it link. How dumb. Chart patterns. Okay, so this very well may form a cup and handle here. Like it could break down and do a cup and handle. It doesn't look like it's going to do this sized one, right? It's not going to do it from here, but maybe it looks like it's going to do it from up here. And if it comes up with this line and rejects, I'm looking at these areas all as buying levels for a cup and handle to form. But it may just bust right through this. I wasn't wasn't expecting it to continue this motion in the same way that it has here. Obviously, I sold some of mine as it approached this line. But I do have my Ethereum, which if it plays, its percentages are actually higher. So I'd be curious to see how that plays out. Now I've gone through Link and Cardano. Now I want to do I want to do Binance Coin? What, didn't I just see it like way up here? Yeah, it's number 3. Holy crap. Holy crap. Yeah, and I need to go look at that for sure. For sure. So Binance, US dollar. Okay. And I mean, really, it makes sense for some of these for me to go ahead and do like Link BTC and Cardano BTC just to see which ones are likely to move faster. But you see, I got this trifecta levels here, and I did not properly play it here or here. So, yeah. All right, now Binance. Man, I feel like I bought Binance when it was less than $1 or something ridiculous like that. How low is this price down here? 14 bucks. Was it ever less than $1? Okay, it was never less than $1. Never less than $1. Okay, so now this looks like it. Yeah, definitely. Let's put a level here. All right, so here's some of my first levels, and then after that, I want a trend line. And now I'm going to change this back to kind of how I used to do it. It's not really how I used to do it, but it's something like how I used to do it. And I'm going to use pink for my diagonals. And I'm just going to put this diagonal for either one of these lines because like this, was technically kind of an ascending triangle that was starting to form. Depending on how this breaks down, it could still be one in this area, especially if I were like to look at a weekly view or something like that. Then this, if it doesn't close above this, then this is still, a legitimate triangle, or it could be playing this range as a triangle as well, or it could be done with all that crap and just be going to the moon right now. But these look like decent levels, and then I'm also going to lay me in some levels. So at least do this one. And then this one. And that one too. So right, it doesn't have to respect this triangle. It could actually just come down here and play off of these different lines. I'm not quite sure of their thicknesses. But let me go ahead and bounce down to this 4-hour. See if I see anything else. This actually looks a lot more clear on the 4-hour. Just did the wrong one. Okay. And I'll probably say, man, do I need to move that area down? What the heck? Yeah, that is better. Okay. Now I'll probably put this one as a really thick level. Needs to hold, especially. I mean, it would be a great place for it to come down to. I'd definitely buy right here. If it came to base off of this 200 exponential and simple moving averages, um, 200 simple is the white, and the purple is the 200 exponential. Um, and this line, that would be a great, would look like a great buy to me, even though it like violates that triangle. So what, does the triangle just disappear on, why is it disappearing on the 4 hour? It shouldn't disappear on the 4 hour. Okay, that's weird and annoying, but it does look a little bit different on the 4 hour anyway. So maybe it just does look better on the 12 hour. Um, mm, I just need to, okay, let me go back to looking at the 12 hour and get this top level just so I can see where it is. Yeah, and now I can go ahead and be the super thick one. Man, that's a massive range that this thing could play. What are the percentages on that? 70% gain or a 41% loss. Jeez. Jeez Louise. Okay. Um, it's a nice little range there, Binance. Okay, so this looks about good to me. I could maybe uh, mess with my thicknesses a little bit more, but yeah, this looks good. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and save this one as. um, okay, we'll just do the same thing we've been. We'll need to change that up. BTC or Binance. I do need to do that though. What is this? UST. What the crap? Chart Paternos. Okay. Now, what's next? Something like Uniswap. I think this one is on Coinbase. I would like to see Stellar. I say Stellar and Uniswap. So let's do. When did Uniswap start? So I'm looking for a chart that goes back to September. Right? Yep, no problem. And I think it's just an Uni. Well, let's see when it came on Coinbase. Jeez Louise. Uniswap. Hmm. Why can I not find this? Is it really not trading its USD? Uni, BTC, Uni. Uni. Am I actually on GDAX? Dummy. Okay. Um, and this one goes back to September. Okay, so that works. All right, this one looks easy. Might need to go ahead and buy that line. Maybe put that wick as a stop loss. But there's not much history on this thing. Let's look at this 4-hour chart. Yep, that one can definitely get a zone. Yeah, I would pretty much say that zone controls the bias right now. If it closes, well, let's see how the daily looks. Yeah, if it's closing daily above this range, then I'll be generally bearish for the next couple of days. Um, Not for the next couple of days. For the next couple of days, price action. Based on what happens tomorrow, that may change. I'm not just going to say I would be bullish based on that. But as long as it's closing above here, I'm expecting to go up. Once it starts close below here, then I'd say it's going to come down to find a lower support level. Very well could just be a simple pullback to here or here. Let's just do that right now. And I'd probably even make a green triangle or a green zone in here. Because this is, to me, this looks like a buy zone. I might be buying this one after this video. Um, Depending on how things play out, I might go look at more of its history, but it just doesn't have much. But I want to see how its tops and reversals look before buying into it. But this chart looks way easier to read than these other ones that I've been looking at. So I might as well play it when it's obvious. Yep, I like the way that looks. Kinda. Let's see how that one looks on the 4-hour. Pretty darn good. Yeah, splitting hairs on that placement. Then some obvious levels lower that I have kind of been making these thick. I mean, this kind of is it could come all the way down here and still be fairly healthy. Well, yeah, because here's a last higher low. So yeah, it could pretty much easily come all the way down here. Or well, no, it's here. Holy crap. So here's the high, then here's the low, and then here's the next high. Okay, on the 12-hour, I bet it's even more obvious on the daily. Yeah, higher high, lower low, and either one of these you could say, and then that. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a way easy chart to read. Holy cow. Holy cow. All right. Don't want to put some little sub levels in here. I do. Oops. Oops. Thinking this one's like, yeah, and then all types of levels. Let's go down to the 4-hour again. Oh yeah, it's probably some sort of zone, isn't it? Yeah, it might just be a much larger zone than that one above. Yeah, because both of those are functioning as lows. So let's just do them only for right now. Maybe even put a box in here, but I won't, and I'll just leave all those at those thicknesses. I think that's right. Well, just because these are far away, I'll make them less thick, but I still want them large. Okay, and then I can put, well, I don't need to put actual lines up here. I can just put alerts. hmm And then I'll say, let me know if it does that, but also just let me know if it gets in the middle of this range. Oh yeah, and then there's a obvious, let's see how that one looks on the 12. I mean, it could be sub-level zones on the 12, unless a doji candle in the middle there. Wow, that's amazing. That thing I found. Okay. Alright, so this one looks like, eh, I like the 12-hour levels better, don't I? I do like the 12-hour levels better. So we'll do skinny 12-hour levels. Okay, this chart looks like it's going to make me some money. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. So it's kind of, if you don't understand why this one looked easy to read to me, I don't know really how to explain it very well. I'm not going to say it's like you learn more or something like that. It's probably just based on the way that I do it. If you would have watched my former videos, like all of them, and see how I draw these levels, maybe it will make more sense. But I've only done it a couple of times, and then I'm usually adjusting levels on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, but this chart just seemed to really have simple levels. Part of it is because it's basing up directly off of this former high here. This range is like obviously strong or whatever support. It based in it for a while and then it broke out of it. It's come back down again and tested it at different obvious like areas or levels. And then it's continued up and right, it could continue on or it could do something else. Now, to get myself more familiar with this chart, I will probably come in here and look at, I mean, there's really just not very many higher highs and higher lows on this. Maybe that's why it's so easy to chart, is because it doesn't have much history, kind of to play off of with some of these different algorithms that people use to bot trade. Okay, so hour and 15 minutes. Been tired of doing this, but I'm going to do several more of these because there is money on the line. So, and after doing that one, I'm quite glad that I'm doing this. Now I'm going to look at Stellar probably and Balancer. So I want to check out, let's see where Balancer lies in this thing. It is on Coinbase, so let's thing tell me its overall ranking. Ranking 122. Okay. The chart doesn't look bad. It's young. Let's see how long it has been on Coinbase. Holy crap, did I save that? Okay, I did. Uni chart patterns right there. Let me just load that real quick just to be sure. Okay, and Balancer looks quite similar in its price action. I'm curious to see how Uni is doing versus Bitcoin though. So let me just check that real quick. Oh, yep, that's a healthy chart. Oh man, this one's easy to read too. Holy cow. Yeah, I'm probably gonna play this trifecta because this looks, yeah. the levels are so obvious. Okay, let's go back to balancer. All right, this one is easy to read as well. It doesn't look as healthy as Uni because, right, on Uni we were seeing a higher high here, where now we're not seeing a higher high, and we had like an actual lower low here where we didn't have that on Uni, but this is now a higher high than this one, so it hasn't broken to new all-time highs, but it looks like it's setting up to do so. It just seems more likely than Uni did to fall down to some of these former levels before it bases its way up. So this one's going to be similar but different. Stupid thick. This is like the level to hold. And it could, I'm okay with the wicks coming down here, but you know, and maybe if I looked at more of the, it just doesn't have more of the chart to look at. Maybe if I found other, you know, once I got used to the price action, I might say, okay, this one does actually come down and close in the wick area before it bounces up on the regular. That's usually what it does, but that's not what I would expect. That's not what I would expect it to do. And I would have to see that a couple of times before I, you know, started to recognize that as the typical bottoming pattern for balancer, for example. I think I said that pretty clearly, pretty well. First, I'll just do this level because that one is a little bit more obvious than the other one. And let me drop down to this 4 hour to see what we got going on here. Okay. Yep. Okay. Perfect. What does it look like? No, that's a spot, and make that one a little bit less thick. What was this one? A 2? Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, this level certainly looks important on a 4. How's that area? Well, let me put this on a 12 and see. Yeah, so on this one, I'll definitely look at buying down here. I just want to highlight all the price action that is making this a buy zone to me. If it breaks through this area, it could easily come down to an area in here. So I'll go ahead and lay one where you're looking at 12. 12, yeah, looks pretty good to do a layer like that. And probably put this one at a 3. And actually, both of these, well, just because it's a buy zone, I kind of want to keep it thin, but I will. These are important areas right here. Um, and it absolutely does not have to come down here before it goes up. This is just an area where I would buy. I'm not quite as sure about buying this line in the same way. Um, but I very well may. Maybe with a smaller position size. Now, because I'm already in this, I want to actually go look and see when I bought this thing. So 20 days ago. So if I go to a daily chart and I click on my red line, it's going to tell me 20 days. Let's see these last ones. So from this, we got 1, 2, 3, it would just be easier to count the candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so I probably pretty much bought this line before, and that makes sense based on um, where is it? That I'm basically at the same amount. I put in 50 bucks and then obviously had to pay whatever little fee was on that. So um, we're about at where I bought before. Now, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a bad buy then. It would have been nice to, I don't know if I could have found these levels though. Let me see. Yeah, I probably could have formed some buying levels. I don't know whether they would have been perfect. Oh, and that moving average clearly played. Which one is that? The 50? Yeah. Okay, so the 50 exponential, obviously, and then I could, across these different charts, I could look at some of these other, yeah, the 50 simple also on the daily. Mm, yep, and then I rejected off of that. I mean, this 12 and 26 seems like it's playing a little bit. Maybe I could tweak the moving averages, might do a little bit better for this one specifically. Um, but, right, and I could look at the other setup I have too, but um, it looks like this one is being ran pretty well by these different moving averages, right? So it looks like the 89 on the 12 is also playing well. I'd be curious to see if I made it 100, what it would do. Yeah, it looks like the 89 plays a little bit better. And maybe there's something else like let's just try 128. Might have something to say about the 128 as well. But this one looks very tradable. Very tradable. It's got a wide range here that it could play out this whole range before it chooses its next direction, whether it's gonna, and see, similar to the last one, 40% loss, and let's see if it's gonna be the same percentage, about a 70%, 66% gain. So um, they look a little bit different, but they're having similar action or similar pulsing. I'd probably say that the Uniswap looks a little bit of a healthier or better chart, but Balancer looks like you're more likely to find a good buying opportunity sooner. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Because I like buying the breakout trades or buying close to the all-time high, depending on how the price action looks. And on Uniswap, it looked good. I will probably buy some of that later today, um, depending on what I see. But um, that could also like be a double top slash fake out, or a place for a further pullback. And once it would have broken that green bar area on Uniswap, then it could come and play out the rest of this range here. So this one is not so quite so high, and it really does look like it has this good buy range right here that may hold up if it comes down here. I mean, this one could hold up, and maybe I need to draw on some other lines based on some of these candle closes in here or whatever. But this looks like a good area to me to buy off of, and I would, if it quickly breaks out of it, I'm getting out of the trade to buy these lines and potentially lower, right? These may not hold up if it starts to do that. But these are different bouncing areas that, right? Each of these has that one's 10%. This one looks like it's gonna be like 12%. And it could easily, like this is kind of like the same range. So um, let's just say 13%. Right? Each of these ranges is playable in their own right, right? So That's the way, I'll be monitoring this one and seeing if I can get another good buy. Right now, it's in the middle of this sub range, I guess you could call it. So I'm not gonna buy on Balancer maybe until it comes down to this line, depending on how it does so, or once it starts to break above. Maybe I'll preemptively buy in here and then set a quick stop loss or whatever. But really, till it starts to really close a 12-hour above these highs here, or daily, I guess. Let's see. I think that it was originally done on the 4-hour. This top up here, but I mean, if it closes above $52 on a daily chart, I would expect it to start to set new all-time highs very shortly after that. So that's this one. Let me save this one. I forget, this is kind of fun doing these different. I mean, it's very brain intensive work, but this is, now that I've found two of them, the other charts weren't. It's like Cardano's like, oh, I missed the whole move. Those are some great pulses, but I don't know about finding any buy levels in here. Or maybe now I've just done more of them and I'm even a little bit more comfortable at looking at these new charts. Maybe I will go back and look at Cardano or Cardano shortly. Um, so is Polkadot available on Coinbase? Okay, so it's not. I think I actually want to look at this one. Let me check. Is this one of these? It is. Okay, so I want to look at AVE and Compound, and then I will call it for this because I need my voice for other videos today. And it's already starting to feel slumped. Um, and then let's go look at. All right, so this one started October 4th. Okay, so this price action is not as old. I guess Binance probably had it first. I don't like looking at Binance, but and there's no real US dollar on here. Oh gosh, just Tether. And okay, now we have back to October. I guess that was more useful. All right. Daily levels look simple. How does that match up? Okay, another easy to read chart. Big old fat ranges. Mm, 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 mm. Oh. Easy peasy. All right, we can take these down. I don't know if they're gonna hold up. Let's see what this 4-hour looks like based on that. I'm not quite as excited about those ranges now that I've looked at them on a 4-hour. And should this be up here? No, I think I like that one better from his 4 or his 12-hour ranges. Um, yeah, but since we might as well do this too. And make it a little bit thicker, but not as thick as that one. Yeah, no, that looks good. I could put a small one here as well, but I don't care to. And then I want to layer in something like here. So I will consider buying at this one. I'm going to thicken that one up. Um, but if it broke down, I'm not quite sure where I'd set my stop loss, but if it broke down, depending on how it broke down, I may put in buys here, but we'll probably wait for this, and at that point, we'll probably like draw on some sort of levels to, you might have a wide buying range on this one. This percentages on this chart, let's take a look, again, are going to be massive. Yeah, so a lot of these charts seem to be playing out a similar range and then are just in a similar percentage range and then are just in a different point on each of those. So these last three charts are all, to me, very similar, just having, slightly different characteristics about them, playing out a large flagging out range. I guess that makes sense. That's what Bitcoin's been doing as well. So this should, obviously. Um, Now I could go ahead and put some lower levels in here, but for now I'm not going to. Oh, I meant to put in some alerts. I'm gonna go ahead and put an alert if it breaks below this wick, so I can be alerted that I might want to buy in here. I'm gonna put in another alert that this line is like approached. I might even put that at the 21x. How are these moving averages playing? Yeah, I'll probably put this at the, well, yeah, that's fine where it is. Um, and then definitely one on the line, or just on barely on the other side of it in case it, well, let's just put it in the middle of it. Put it in the middle of that thing. And then on the top side, about breaking my back right now. Boom. And that's all I need on the upside, and I can go ahead and save this chart for AAVE. And what I'm doing here, other than the one that I saw with the Uni, where I kind of feel like it's in a good, probably a decent place to buy because the stop loss is really easy and you might not get a further fall before you really get a good buy on that one. But other than that position, everything else, I'm going to let them come to me. So would probably buy this line depending on how it gets here. May buy these depending on how it gets here. May buy this one. And then similarly, depending on how it comes up to this, I may buy this line, anticipating it to break through and go above. I'm more likely to let it break through, have a couple of closes on a 4 or 12-hour candle here, and then buy a retest of this line instead, or potentially break through both of these, come up to this one, and then buy retests on one of these two lines here. Or, obviously it could break out above those, but it kind of, I'm not sure that it depends on what Bitcoin does, but I think that whoever is leading is rotating between Bitcoin, between Ethereum, between like probably some of these DeFi tokens or whatever are starting to push this market up. And when Chainlink wants to go off and have a pop, or Uni wants to go off and have a pop, maybe then that gets pushed to some of the other. It gets pushed to Bitcoin's price action in a way that it hasn't necessarily done so before. So um, here's this one. I need to go back to Balancer and set me in some alerts. Looks like Coinigy just like glitched out. Um, yeah, this one's really very simple. I don't even need as many alerts as well, the reason I needed more alerts on the other one was mostly because it was like closer or it looked like hitting one of those levels or making a decision was more impending than it is on this chart. So this one's looks like it's going to play out this range to me for a little bit, and it might do so slowly, figuring out what it wants to do in this area. Is this actually the 1 hour chart? I think you're lying to me, aren't you? This is a 12-hour chart. It's got to be. That was probably the daily chart. This is looks very easy to read on an hourly chart as well. So this one, it just started its uptrend, and obviously I'm not looking through all of my indicators, but that one looks pretty good. For some reason, my nose always starts itching when I talk for a long time on these videos, but um, you don't care about that. Let's look at compound, and I think that'll be the last one. Okay, I don't need to save the chart to those. This one does not look well. Let's look at not an hour. Oh, well, that's one reason why it didn't look as good as the other ones. Wow, now it looks like the best one. Holy crap. Holy crap. All right, so it looks like this is probably all the price action. Let me see. Number 45. And it was June 17th. And this is June 23rd. I guess that's about good enough. Let me just double check. Wow, so it started way low and then it bounced straight up. Okay, so this chart is really painting the wrong picture to what actually happened. It actually started way below this and bounced up. What was his debut price? Yeah, his debut price was 69 bucks. So that was below this chart. It debuted down here and then spiked up and then came down. Okay, so do I want to look at this on a different chart? I kind of do because I want that those levels may matter. And what? Just do it versus Tether, probably. Wow, so this one's getting it even later. Okay, it's starting to get part of it here. Nope, okay. This I don't feel like looking for which one of these exchanges has the best history on it. I'm just gonna go ahead and history on it. Just gonna go ahead and use GDAX, whatever, which is Coinbase Pro. Probably throwing a level there. Let me zoom in. I like that one more. Let's see how that looks on a daily. I guess those levels play up there too. So I'll use both. Maybe put it like right on it. Okay, yep. Let it be a thick line, mostly just to cover that full range. I might draw a trend line. Let me just see. This might be doing a little bit too, whoa, whoa. Might be doing a little bit too much with this, but let's see what this does. Do I like that or not? I kind of do. Yeah, I do a lot, actually. So I'm going to keep that in there. I would definitely consider buying on a retest of this line here. But let me go back to horizontals because diagonals are kind of like a little bit more Miss Cleo kind of stuff to me. They're like not as clear. Doing a little bit too much prediction, but sometimes they play. Um, and that's part of why I decided to go back to making them another color. I used to use multiple colors for my diagonals and do a little bit too much with them. A little bit too much with them things. Cause, all right, now I actually, based on the way this chart looks, I kind of expect this one to hold, but I'm thinning it up. And actually, I'll probably do two of them. Let me just double check how this looks on a 4 hour. Mm, yeah, I'm not quite sure about that, but um, I would consider putting in a buying box here. Let me just go back to the daily and see. Okay, yeah, this is perfect. Actually, I'm gonna keep it. Okay. Uh, yep. And I am gonna make it a little green rectangle in here that I would consider buying through the duration of that triangle, pretty much. If it, right, this isn't a full ascending triangle yet, but it could form one off of this line. We shall see. It could just bounce it and ride it up or whatever, but we will wait and see. Not trying to make predictions, just setting in some good decision points. Not really liking this line either, but let's just make it super thin because I think it could matter. Something in here could matter, especially if it is intersecting with this line, for example, or some other point of confluence that we might be able to find on a different time frame, or by pulling out, for example, the rainbow MAs and see where they line up, right? So if it came down here and tested this shortly, right, it could be around the same area where you might expect to close above this, but then a wick down to this level, maybe, right? You could move this level down also, right? I could make another thin green box. I almost want to. Almost want to. Don't I? Yeah, actually, I do. It's exactly what I want to do. It's exactly what I want to do. And this one would have to be sooner to be, right? My expectancy on this box would, well, I won't say it's going to expire, but for right now, I'm just going to put them alongside of the lines, and then we can revisit it if it does break, right, the first level. And even for me right now, I'm interested to see whether this candle holds because it's basing off of this 21 moving average on the 21 exponential moving average on the 12 hour pretty nicely, and that probably corresponds with something like the 10 simple on the daily. It's not quite as good of a bounce up off of that, but I mean, it's all looking pretty healthy right now. Um, and I kind of expect it to, right? I could, if I wanted, and I might just want, actually go down to a 4 hour for this. Yeah. Right, I could draw in a potential ascending triangle here, although the volume, this ain't no ascending triangle. Um, and it kind of looks like it, so it's getting painted in. So I kind of am expecting it to play in here and then break down instead, or maybe not even play in here. So um, I'll leave that one on that time frame. And let's see, that one shows up on the longer time frame, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Oh, and it looks like it is parallel with this line. Well, hold up. So that line plays, and this line looks like it plays as well. Which this is like this Miss Cleo stuff. I don't like this, and I feel like it can hurt your trading to pay too much attention to those. But you do see that, right, this line plays boom, 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 governing the closes here, came up and touched above it on this one, but you could also put the line based on these closes, right? And so now you get the top side of that. You could put a bottom side across this one, and then you have these closes being governed, this close in here, and right, it's again, it's like another little range. You get it. We don't need that Miss Cleo stuff around here, but that is interesting interplay between those. Now for some alerts, I would like to know if it does approach this, right? In addition to breaking below this, I don't really care about breaking these next levels, but once it starts to approach that box, I want to know. And then on the top side, once it gets back up close to this line, I also want to know. Do I really care about this alert right now? Yeah, I could make a decision here, so I will put this one up here as well. If it crosses that box, yeah, and I need one. That's just like a preemptive. Let me know that we've fully broken the box. Okay, so my voice is going to be dead for the rest of the day if I do too much more of this right now. I need to make some other videos as well, so I'm going to take a break on some of that. Now, it does look like this level may potentially be wanting to hold on this Ethereum. Bitcoin, I need to go back and look at its chart. What is this? This is save as compound chart patterns. So again, the name of this video is going to be called FOMO because that I'm having fear of missing out, which is a positive kind of in terms of my playing markets concept. You know, it's only positive though if you properly execute on it. And you know, don't get into things that you don't know what you're doing with just because you see that there's money being made. In this case, I've traded altcoins poorly before when, you know, it was a generally bearish market. I'm good at doing the research on things like this and other things. I understand coding and cybersecurity and a little bit of cryptography. That gives me an advantage in looking these things up. And I also have studied fundamental analysis and, you know, in the stock market and understanding, you know, what makes companies increase in value. And so there's overlap here with the trading and investing principles in this one. And again, a lot of this one just has to do with human perception. So being able to find the coins that are going to go up based on what people think about them is something that I'm going to be able to do pretty well. I'm not sure how many more of these coins that I'm going to do over time. I will probably add some more of them in here because again, I do have this and I do have a team. And so any of these that I end up looking over them and I'm like, oh, I kind of believe or whatever on these different things. So you kind of see where I was before on what I believed on. I think Substratum was like a scam. So you see, I don't, right, I'm not totally sure. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. That's interesting. What else do I have? Oh, excellent. Doubt it. Shitcoin. Perfect. Now what does these say? Oh, I was planning on becoming an expert on some of these. Excellent. So back over here to Bitcoin. I'm curious. I need to clear some of my lower alerts down here, but I'm curious whether it is going to go ahead and play out to the top of this range or whether it's going to give me a pullback opportunity. This candle may end up kind of dictating the range. It could be that until we have a close outside of this range of this candle, it's kind of just stuck in, right? I might move the range to this, right? It's just stuck in that area. And actually, what was this line based on? I actually like that line a lot better. I mean, I kind of like this one better, but it's, yeah, I did. I was, eh, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And maybe I could make a little, uh, a second one here. Yeah, we'll just do a second one. But I'm not gonna put a box because that does not look like a buy level to me. But maybe. It depends. It would depend on how it gets there with all of this stuff. It depends on how it gets there, and then what it does at some of these different decision points, and then how much of whatever the thing is how much I own also comes into the decision making process in what I'm doing at certain positions. If I've basically got all my money in and it comes up to a point where it's like, well, if it gets to the other side of this, it's going to continue to go up. But I've already made 10% on that trade from lower, then I'm still going to sell some of my money right there. And really, all of these lines are like that to a degree. If it gets above this one, so for example, if I still had Bitcoin, which I may buy Bitcoin on the other side of this line, I may buy with like half of my third or whatever that I have reserved for Bitcoin right now. I basically have all, like I mentioned, 5 or 6 earlier in the video, but right now I basically have 3 buckets. And so, for example, I have about 600 or 700 bucks for my Bitcoin bucket. If this flips over this line, I may buy with about 300 or $350. Even though if it breaks above this line and has closes above this line, even though that probably means that it's going to rip and probably go to like 65 or something like that, and that would be my bias, I would sell this line with at least part of that, 300 or 350. And then on the other side of it, I'll buy again, and I'll probably buy all the way in, right? Because on the other side of this line, I'm expecting it to continue to go up, and I'm willing to put more risk on it. In the meantime, I might also play this little range for I might not, because Bitcoin's ranges are getting smaller now. Yeah, I actually probably would not play this range, except, okay, so in this case, I would not sell this range. I might put in half here, because like if this was like a 5 or 6% range, I would be selling out some to lock in that profit. But because the range is smaller and Coinbase is going to take, to get in and get out is going to take 1% anyway, because half a percent per trade. I would, I want to make more than 1%, which, right, if they take 1%, I'm only getting 0.92%. It's not really worth jumping in unless I had a whole lot more money. If I had $10 million, I'd take that 0.92% all day. But I may, and now that I'm looking at these percentages here, I may actually buy some small amount right here, right? And I just sold on this diagonal because it approached this diagonal. Well, now on the other side of this diagonal, if we have a 12-hour close that's above this diagonal, and then depending on how the next candle looks, I may buy, and it would actually be a buy to have a lower, it's a really not the best way to trade it, but I'm just making this position lower, right? And I would have a very tight stop loss that if it went against me any amount, then I'm going to get out of that, small percentage. But if it gets above this line, then I'm going to put in the rest and expect it to go up. Now, if this was a larger amount here, or if I was already in 100%, I would definitely be selling this line regardless, right? So if I was already in 100% right now, I would sell this line regardless. Now, if I was already in 50%, I would sell this line regardless. Now, the reason that what I started to say I went back on is because I'm seeing that this percentage is too small for me to like want to play this range. So if something similar like this happened on this chart, for example, it's not above that same or similar diagonal, but let's say that it was, right, and it came up to here, I would play this 4% for sure. And then I would sell to make sure I locked in that profit. And then if it ended up closing above here quickly, my bias would flip around and I would be buying again to go up. And actually, like in this one, it's a good example. So if I bought in this, bought off of this diagonal, and then it got up to here, I would sell about half of that position. And then I would make this line my stop loss, and meaning if it came back below this, then I'll sell out the rest. So I always got at least 3%, which translates to 2%, because Coinbase is going to take half of it or take 1% from me. I'll take my 2% on my couple of $100. That's fine. And then 4% on half of it as well. So I end up selling for about 3.5 or whatever percent gains, and on a $600 or $700 bucket, that's $15 or $16 I didn't have yesterday, and all I had to do was set in some alerts that told me. Now, I'm practicing now because eventually I do plan on trading with $10 million so that these smaller percentages um, give me more. But right now it's about wins and losses, being able to consistently capture those percentages so that I feel more comfortable with higher amounts of money in here. That's part of why I moved some of my Bitcoin to that hodl position, is because it was a little bit too much like stress or pressure based on how much money was in there, and I'm not quite sure how to tell what amount of money worries me. I don't really get that worried about any amounts of money, managing it and budgeting it. But when it comes to trading, I'm not fully comfortable at. I mean, mostly it's just that I have not done the best job of getting out of losing positions. And so I just don't want to risk a lot of my money in that. And there's many other types of investments that I much rather, like, even if I lose, I'm only losing 10% over a long period of time, as opposed to like, well, this coin crashed today for 30 freaking percent or something like that, right? Even just Bitcoin, which is less dramatic than some of these other ones, can give you a gorgeous 23% down candle. Disgusting. So that's all I have the bandwidth for today on these different coins. I am glad that I've done it. Some of those first ones were like, oh, but now that I ended up going to Compound and Uniswap and Balancer, I do see some opportunities with those, and some fairly easy to read charts as well that I plan to make some money off of. And you'll see more of these probably in the next videos. Probably though more with hindsight, saying here's what I did, and maybe eventually going through a lot of these charts all in one. But I don't like to spend too much time in these videos or in these charts, because it doesn't take me that. If I wasn't talking through this, even going through these, like if I would have spent 2 hours on this, I would have done like 20 coins if I wasn't trying to explain myself. And part of it is the self-consciousness that comes along with going over these things. My opinions might be slightly different if I was sitting here quietly to myself with a little bit of music playing, just going chart after chart after chart. And there might even be more like, I saw this over here, let me go look at the other chart. I definitely would have looked at more Bitcoin versus those coin charts. But speaking these things out, it'll make it easy for me to go back and look and see, well, you're right about that, you're wrong about this, and then further improve my trading over time with that. So FOMO, fear of missing out. If it motivates you to learn as well as to take a little bit of risk, then it can be a good thing. Do not just FOMO into charts, though. Different assets, for example, GameStop. If you did a little bit more research about that one, you might have not have jumped on the bandwagon, or maybe you would, because you understood how to play those quick moves that happen based on short squeezes and pump and dump economics, essentially. So if you watched all the way through this video, you're a champ or a psycho, one or the other. There's much better traders you could watch who do 2-hour streams every day or longer. And I really am trying to keep it simple for myself and for really my assistant that I'm trying to get to be able to do this. Hi Henry, you better watch the whole thing and have seen this, and I should start including something to make sure that you did watch it. And then anybody else like Tucker or Elias, I don't know who might be watching this. Let me know if you have any questions, drop them below. And if you want me to do some coins, if you have some other suggestions, then I would be happy to chart those as well. And then I think there's a way I can just share these charts as well so that you can look at it. I don't know if you can look at it as it gets updated, but eventually I might switch over to TradingView, but Coinigy gives me some tools that I can use that are crypto specific. So I'll just copy and paste whatever I have to do to give you access, and you can look at what my levels are or whatever. So that's it for this one. Thanks for rocking with me in my beater this whole time. Peace.